What if instead of giving it 100%, you just gave it 85%? And what if giving it just 85% and focusing on the process rather than the outcome actually leads to greater and more consistent results? In this video, we look at some of the most effective, creative, and possibly surprising ways to run a co-writing session. And if you're interested in learning how to collaborate with other people, check out our brand new online course, How to Write Songs, The Art of Co-Writing and Collaboration. A course we've developed to show you the ins and outs of co-writing to help you build confidence, learn new skills, and ultimately take you step by step through the preparation, the process, and the practical elements of professional collaboration. Now, let's look at why giving it less than 100% can actually be a good thing.
Let's jump in here to this idea of certain things you can do when you're inside that co-writing process that are really going to help you move from the initial sparks into the songwriting process itself. Our first tip for you is to focus on the process, not the product. What I mean by that is don't focus on creating a masterpiece. Don't focus on the quality of the output. Focus on the quality of the process itself. There's a beautiful quote that I want to share with you from Susan Kare, who designed the original Mac interface. And she said, you can't really decide to paint a masterpiece. You just have to think hard, work hard, and try to make a painting that you care about. Then, if you're lucky, your work will find an audience for whom it's meaningful. To me, this quote is all about put your care and your attention into the process itself, trust in the process, and don't actually worry so much about what's going to happen at the end of it. Just let that be. It's a little bit zen, it's a little bit, we just have to be inside the process, not the product. And ultimately, if we kind of disengage all our hopes and ambitions and anxieties about making something excellent, that is actually more likely to result in making something excellent. We really just have to remove the cognitive load that we're putting on the end result and really more focus on being present and being inside the process.
And there are lots of examples of great musicians who talk about this. Pharrell Williams is one of them. He talks about this idea that you can't control how your song is going to be received. You can't control how many people will like it. You really can't even control how amazing it is subjectively. All you can control is how well you create it in that process. And so he's created this real separation within his own process of this is what I can control, this is what I can't control. And what we're saying here is your job is to write the best song you can and work as well as you can with this other person. The other stuff will take care of itself if you take care of the process.
And let me add on to that. I think it's valid as a stated objective that we're going to sit down and we're going to try and write a pop song to pitch to pop artists, which kind of has this mentality of like, we want to write a hit. But again, this idea of like write a hit, you do not have control over that. A hit song is one that millions of people love, right? And you can't actually control how someone else responds to your song. It is valid, however, to say if we want to play in that sphere, we do need to acknowledge certain stylistic and structural features of a song and, maybe be explicit about that, right? That we're going to need a really strong hook. We're going to be needing to use a kind of lyrical language that is conversational and playful, that's not overly intellectual or obtuse, right? We're going to need to play within certain parameters, but beyond that, you can't control whether it's a hit or not. I want to mention here a great quote that I heard when I was listening to an interview with Hugh Jackman on the Tim Ferriss Show, which is Tim Ferriss's podcast. So Hugh Jackman was really talking about his mindset of high performance and was asked, are there any practical tips you have, any things that you think about and do when you're having to perform at a peak level night after night, in a live show? And Hugh Jackman talked about the 85% rule. And he described this as coming actually from the world of sports psychology. So there was an experiment done with elite sprinters, actually. And what happened in this experiment was the experimenters told one group of elite sprinters, you're going to run this race and we want you to give it 100%. They told a second group, we want you to run this race and we want you to give it 85%. And what actually happened was the 85% group ran faster. Crazy. And this is fascinating, right? It's the idea of what actually happens in that 15% gap. And Hugh Jackman was talking about approaching his performance with the same mentality, night after night. I'm just going to give it 85%, which is a bit of a mental trick, right? It's kind of like self-gaming. But when you say, I'm going to give it 85%, not 100%, you're just easing off yourself. You're reducing that cognitive burden. You're taking the pressure off the result, and it allows you to focus more on the process. And just as we were talking about, when you actually are more present in the process and give yourself that 15% buffer to just relax a little bit, it actually allows you to perform better in the end. So it's a bit of psychological gaming, but when you're coming to a co-write session, it's like, take the pressure off a little bit, give it 85%. It's like, bring your good self, but don't bring all this anxiety about like, this has to work. This has to be the right thing. I'm attached to the outcome of this, and it's going to be a waste of time if I haven't written something incredible, right? If you actually ease off the pressure of the outcome, it actually allows you to be more present in the process, which gives you a better chance actually of writing something that you are going to be proud of.
And it may sound and feel counterintuitive, but when you actually try this approach, you realize that pushing really hard, giving it that 100% is counterproductive. You find yourself getting really worked up and getting really attached to certain ideas. It shuts down your creativity. It stops you listening well to your other collaborators. So give it a try. Even though it sounds a bit weird, give it a try and you'll find that it really does work.
Give it 85%.
Give it 85.